Why, hello there, guys. It's Teenage Psychiatrist. It's been hell of a long time since I've done one of these videos. And so, I'm sorry for the hold-up and for being gone so long. It's just kind of my fault, business with school shit and trying to get things together and doing things for college. Definitely become a hassle. But, it's good to be back, and I'm good to be doing videos again, and I'll probably start uploading quite a bit more. Maybe not daily, but trying to go and upload more at least every 2 days or so. I get out of school pretty early, so it'll make life less of a hassle to go and upload these videos. But hell yeah, I'm good to be back. So, one thing that I wanted to go and talk to you guys about today is that some issues. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm trying to walk. is issues with kind of discrimination over your own personal thought and interest, whether it be religion, sports, love interest, sexuality indifference, anything that pertains to something that you do every day in life, or something that really affects you or is a large portion of what makes you you. Basically the basis of why I want to go and say this and why I want to bring this up is some recent things that have happened to me is that I've recently converted to Christianity, and I'm really proud of myself for it. And after being agnostic for pretty much my whole life and living in a very religious, diverse household, it just finally I felt the need to open up about what I felt was right in my mind. And so that's not what I'm trying to get at here is religion and such, but there's a lot of controversy that goes around particular subjects, especially with religion, and that's what I'm going to use as an example today, is that I had some recent problems with my instructor for my English class in college. And basically when he, not going to use names, when he had came to talk to me, when I had turned in a testimony, because basically what the paper was about was, oh, hey, write this particular paper about yourself, about a personal subject relating to you as a person, and something that happened with you within an hour's time. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect chance for me to write about my first experience with God and how I came to be a follower. And so I wrote this 1,000-word essay, and it was only half of what we had to go and write. He was saying that write half of it now, show it to me, and I'll give my opinion on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, hell yeah. And so, sorry if the cars are too loud and you can't hear me, but he had us peer edit and peer review everybody, and I went over his guidelines and did everything I could for the paper, wrote 1,000 words, and had other people in my class peer review, peer edit, and I noticed that I did the same amount of work that other people did. And I did what I could, and it was just the amount of effort that everybody else had put in. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, I slacked off or whatever, but like, I did what was asked of me. And when I turned in the paper and gave it to him, he called me to the back of the class, and he said he noticed that my paper had taken sort of a religious aspect on things. And instead of saying what I thought he was going to say, he said that he's a bit of ashamed and disappointed that my topic was regarding that issue, and that's what my that's what my paper had been about in the first place. And I was a little confused. I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, in the way that you were stating of the way that you have been saved or converted to God, I don't approve of. Now, basically what was stated in my paper is that you guys all know that some people suffer from suicidal thoughts or suicidal tendencies due to maybe some problems or risks and such they have taken, or ordeals at home. And basically that's what I had put down, is that back when I was a little younger, I had actually attempted suicide, of drowning myself in a lake. And that was one of my first experiences with God for me, because I saw that despite the things that I was going through at that time, I meant a lot more to the world, and I had a lot more of a purpose and meaning. And even though that I was going through all these issues and that people weren't exactly being the best of me, I was much more than what I had been depicted as. And so I decided that that's what I wanted my story to be about. That's what I wanted my event to be about, is because at that moment, after I had tried to attempt and take my own life, this thought perforated my mind and exploded that I was something more. And it was sort of like God had showed me a new reason, a new meaning to who I am and who and what I am as a person, and showed me that there's a much different way and a much different pathway to go and take, to go and better myself rather than taking my own life. And I saw that as a chance to go and write my testimony. And so when I wrote that testimony, I wrote it down and I shared it with the teacher. He called me back and he's like, you can't convert in this way. Like this paper is shit. And this is what he had said. He said, this paper is shit and that you cannot convert in this way. It's not possible for you to be able to go and make that decision, because it's hilarious. You can't go and have a near-death experience and then all of a sudden it's you being saved by God. And I'm like, did you read my paper? Did you go over what I stated and on what I explained and where I was in that situation and time? Because I explained it in my paper of why I had made that decision in order to go and to do so, and realize that it was me converting to God. And instead of listening, he decided to harass me on it and make fun of me. He laughed out loud in front of the class, and at that point in time, I didn't want to be in that class anymore, because I realized that allowing somebody to go and take away my right of free will and to express myself in the ways that I wanted to do was not right for me. And the reason why I wanted to go and bring this up and talk about it today in our talk and put it on this page is that you should never allow somebody to go and take that freedom away from you. And I see every day people sit and they allow these people to mentally or physically abuse them and take away what they have as a person. And it's very saddening, because you guys are so strong. You have so much potential as people to go and put forth all of this greatness, because you as one person have plenty of opportunities to change yourself, to change the world, to change other people, and make known who you are. And allowing somebody to go and take that away from you, allowing somebody to go and take control of your freedom over that aspect, is just, in my mind, wrong, because nobody has that right to take away from you what you have already been given. So if you guys are ever going and walking through life, experiencing troubles, maybe with parental guidance, your guardians, close family members, friends who walk over you and make you seem like you are lesser than who you are as a person, don't listen to that. Don't feed into that. You guys are just as good as anybody else is. Because that's who you are. You are entitled to that. Nobody is better than anybody else. And something that I always like to say is that the words said to you, the words said to anybody else are just labels given power by our reactions. They're just words made up in a dictionary. Any word that's an adjective. If somebody says they're better than you, even if somebody says they're dumber than you, or that they're smarter than you, or that they're worse than you, that's just a word. It's a describing word that doesn't mean anything unless you allow it to mean something. You can't allow that to corrupt you and make you feel any differently, because you are the only one that can allow it to really take any control or part of your life. When you came into this world, nobody said that you had to be obligated to take any of these risks with listening to others or feeding into what people say to you or describe you as or label you as. Nobody ever once told you that you had to go and listen to anybody else. And that doesn't mean what I'm saying. That doesn't mean like, hey, don't listen to your parents and don't abide by their rules. But when it comes to somebody like making fun of you, calling you ugly, calling you names, making you out to be somebody else that you aren't, that's what I'm saying, is that nobody ever told you that you had to listen to them. And you shouldn't have to listen to them. Because them as a person have no right over you. And no right, because you're your own person. You're your own body. You are separated from them. You are nowhere near any part of them. And they cannot take that freedom and expression away from you. Oh, now I have to cross the road. And I want to cross, but they have to turn. But everybody in my mind is just a beautiful specimen. And like I said, you guys have so many opportunities and so much potential to go and be who you want to be, because that's your right. And again, don't let anybody take that away from you. Because like, while you do have freedom, there is some things that can be easily taken away from you. And that's what I notice like every day in life, is that a lot of people like to go and take away things that aren't even theirs to begin with. Again, like your freedom of expression and your freedom of being who you are as a person. A lot of people try to go and take that away from you when it wasn't even theirs. And that's why a lot of wars are started, and a lot of things are the way they are today. Is that people like to take things away from people that aren't theirs to begin with, because they're greedy. They want that from you because they don't have that for themselves. So even if you do have a hard time opening up to be who you want to be and being who you are, realize that out of the 7.5 billion people here, there are people that are here that support you and that do love you and that do want to do what they can to go and watch you succeed. And that not everybody is going to be a terrible person and wants to see you fail and wants to see you marked down as some nothing like Christ object that they can just withdraw at any time and put back and make into anything they want to make. Because that's not who you are, because you are priceless. You are a priceless object that object. I said object. You are a priceless being that cannot be bought, that cannot be controlled. Whether you're independent, dependent on a certain anything, just on somebody else, you still have just as much power to go and do what you need to do to succeed. And what I'm telling you guys now is that throughout this whole thing, throughout this whole channel, I want to work with you guys as a team together to go and make a message out to people that they are not alone. That they don't have to listen to these hurtful critics and have to stand by and be put away. And being able to go and take as many opportunities as everybody else is because growing up the way I did, I realized that a lot more action can be taken at a much slower, like, far back time. Even if it's something little, you can always take action for something else and take action for something that is happening in your life at any point in time, and you cannot allow anybody to go and say otherwise because you're a badass. So what I'm going to tell you now is that you guys are a badass. You guys got this. So, thank you guys for this little short talk today. Like a 15-minute video, so this is going to take forever to upload. So thank you guys so much for listening to this, and I hope this helped you out in some way and allowed you to go and shed some light or enlighten you on some aspects on how the world is. So I love you guys. See you later, and thank you for watching Teenage Psychiatrist. Now you guys have a blessed day.